What is going on, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking Superman, Superman for All Seasons. Son of Kal-El. That's a current series. No, we're talking about Superman for All Seasons. This is the second episode and second issue that we're going to be breaking down. And so, of course, when I say we, it's not just me. I have my good friend here with me, Fire Guy Ryan. Ryan, what's up, dude?
It's you and your second personality. That's how we're doing it.
One of these days, I'll just leave you backstage, man, and I'll just. I've been known to do that.
I hear that's the place to be. I don't know.
It is
Some kind of inside joke that I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
But it's good to be back. I love this book. I'm glad to be talking about it again.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. I know that the first time around we talked a little bit about, hey, instead of just breaking this whole thing down in one episode, why not extend it so that it just gives us more of an excuse to talk about this series, which has been fantastic, and our goal of getting more people maybe involved or reading a little bit more, checking this stuff out. Yeah. So I've had some people reach out. I've had some people reach out. Yeah, I don't know if they're actually gonna read it or not, but they have. Some people have either said like, oh, they've read it before, they loved it, or maybe it's been a while or whatever. Some people curious about it. But as we talked about in the beginning or in the first episode, I feel like Superman, at least for like in today's like community, like Superman's kind of not, people are not a big fan of Superman or look at him as boring or, too one-dimensional or whatever, the descriptions are. But as we, saw last issue, that certainly is not the case. There's a lot of emotion. Almost had two grown men here crying on YouTube as we broke this stuff down, so yeah, I appreciate the emotion that we can get from a book like this. And it just shows like if a character can be written, in a good way, like it can be done with any, character essentially.
That's the key.
Imagine. So, yeah. Before we get started, big shout out to everybody, whether you're here watching right now or if you are catching the replay. Thanks for taking the time to do so. Make sure you smash the like button. And if you're not following Ryan, make sure you do so. I put his information in the description below. So be sure to sub him up.
Maybe you'll be my 700th subscriber. I think I'm like 1 or 2 away.
Oh, nice.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm starting to like deserve it now, I think.
I've been seeing the videos come out left and right, so I like it.
To do a little bit.
A little bit. I dig it. Let's say a quick hello to the chat. We got my man Naman in the house, a comic book worm. What's going on, my friend? Naman, I was just on his show. They interviewed me last week and had a blast. Absolute great time. And the other cool thing is they are going to be interviewing my dad, Greg LaRoque, who, if anyone doesn't know, he's an artist, used to draw for Marvel and DC, and they're going to be interviewing him later this month, like 4 or 5 days from now. So check him out. Good to see you, Naman. We got James Phelps in the house. Good evening. What's going on, James? We also have Matthew.
All over the place.
Heck yeah. What's going on, Matthew? Thanks for hanging out. Oh, Comic Book Worm says 700th.
Hey,
maybe that's it.
Well
nice
done.
job, Naman. Nice job. All right, let me go unfollow Ryan.
You can have all kinds of. Everyone can be the 700.
That's right. So, all right, let's before we get into like the details, again, we're talking Superman for All Seasons, issue 2. Would you like to share just your general thoughts on this particular issue? What did you think, high level, of this issue?
On specifically number 2,
mm-hmm.
It feels like a second introduction almost. I got that. I just reread this a few minutes before we went live.
Yeah,
and the vibe I got overall was it felt like issue 1 was definitely an introduction to the character, to his parents, to the farm life, to the way he was, and now this still feels like an introduction, but we're introduced to his life in Metropolis and like his career as Superman. So it still feels very introductory.
Right.
You're getting first glimpses at Clark Kent. At Lex Luthor and Lois Lane in here. Jimmy Olsen, the whole Metropolis crew.
Yeah, and it's all being narrated by Lois. We're getting kind of her point of view on all this, which is pretty cool. And again, and I've said this in the beginning of the last one too, but I'll clarify for this one as well. Like, I am very new to Superman in terms of like reading comic books about Superman. Obviously, I know the gist of his story from movies and shows and things like that. But I feel like this book really is it is one of the most perfect books to jump into if you were to want to read Superman for the first time. And as you said, it is kind of like reintroducing certain aspects of it, but it's also like a different environment now. And as you said, there are these newer characters that we got like a little glimpse of last issue towards the end as he now moves on to Metropolis. It was really, first issue was much more about his parents and him growing up and being part of that small crew of Smallville. Yeah. So, it was nice to get the little taste of like the farm life, but now we're hitting the big city and seeing how he, kind of adapts to that. And as you mentioned, like Lex Luthor, who was mentioned in the first one, we saw him briefly at the very end, but up until then, like he was kind of just a name. Like some of the people in Smallville were like, does this guy even exist? Like, is he, we hear he's this like, billionaire who just spends money like nothing and all this stuff. And this issue, I like that it goes a little bit more in detail to just give you more of an idea of just how rich he is and, how much control he has. So yeah, I like that aspect too. As you mentioned before, from last issue, like definitely not as many teary moments or emotional moments, but I still think it really helped shape the character. And again, from someone who does not know much detail, I mean, even people like Jimmy, like I don't know much about Jimmy Olsen. Like I know that he had a title of his own back in the day, and that he's his photographer, and that's really all I ever knew about Jimmy. So even just to get a little bit more of background on him was kind of nice. Not that it goes too in detail, but it's it's something. So. Naman redoing origin story, kind of, this whole thing, it kind of gives you that glimpse of how he started, but from different perspectives. The first one was from his dad's point of view, his narration, and now we're getting into Lois. So
that's one of my favorite parts about this book is you can see it actually here on this like cover when you take off the dust jacket. It's in 4 parts, like for each of the 4 issues. Takes place over 4 seasons in 1 year, and each one is told from a different person's perspective around Clark Kent's life. It's never from him directly.
Yeah. Right.
And when he says redoing the origin story, it gives me the sense that like this isn't different, right? Like this is the classic Superman origin. It's not
right. It's not changing it
right
dramatically or anything like that. Yeah.
But I think it is the there've been so many like comics going over the Superman origin story, but I think this is the best.
Totally. No, I'm with you. And the artwork too. I'll just add that in as well. Like definitely we continue to see some of these beautiful splash pages that we saw from the first one. I have, of course, did a little homework here, put together a nice little slide here. So we can get into some of that. And it is Tim Sale, right? Doing the actual artwork here. Right?
Roger that. Yeah. Tim Sale.
And Loeb doing the writing. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm kind of bitter that they get, I mean, Long Halloween's great. It's a classic, but I kind of wish more people were aware of this book by the exact same creative team. Like, they've done a lot, and I think this is my personal favorite book they've ever done.
Yeah. And I told you before, I've been reading a little bit more Superman stuff. I even went back and read some like older classic stuff. And I really like how Superman's drawn in this. Like it just goes so well with his character here as this really likable guy. And I get like, that's just who he is. And I don't know. I like the style of how he's drawn here. And obviously just the artwork in general, as we'll get into more of that.
There was a really cool shot near the end of this issue.
Yeah,
where he's coming out of a closet, like dressing, switching from Superman, like coming back to being Clark Kent at the Daily Planet.
Yeah,
and I think, as far as I know, it's the first time you see him like in his disguise in Metropolis, and he looks like a totally different person. Like it's in his posture, they go into it in a bunch of different Superman stories, but he just feels different, even though he's still clearly that's him. That's
right. It's the big man. Yeah. All right, well let's dive into this. So right off the bat, we have I always like to include these because, as you mentioned before, it's the different seasons here. So we are now entering the summertime within this year, and as we mentioned before, Clark is now entering the city life, becoming the city boy here, away from the farm. So we get this beautiful splash page here pretty much right off the get. And this is what I've been using for the thumbnail. It's so great. Yeah,
it's so good in the comic too.
Oh, that's awesome. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. And while we're seeing these images, these panels, we're getting Lois Lane right off the bat. We recognize that it's her narrating, and she talks about like 3 things that she learned as a writer. She's talking about her coworker Perry, and just saying like, what was it, like the 3 things were: never believe what you see, never believe what you hear, only believe half of what you see, and believe in everything that you write. Which I like that, especially obviously coming from a writer. And then she just like, her perspective is basically like, this is how it was until this guy came along. And I like that she even used the initials BS. It's all BS, but referring to before Superman. Yeah, exactly. And now he's like, doing the impossible and defying all odds, and she's witnessing it constantly. And so, it's kind of putting some of those sayings, to the side. What are your thoughts here on just kind of her opening dialogue and talking about even like the naming? Like, she comes up with the name Superman, which I didn't know that was a thing. And I don't know if I assume that's accurate to the story.
I assume so too.
Yeah. But so what did you think of all that and just getting the ideas of the names and stuff like that?
The most striking part to me in the first few pages of this issue is the sense that like, it's a totally different narrator, and there's a little bit of a time jump, but not a whole lot. It just feels so different from especially when you read this like you're supposed to, all 4 issues in one go, especially coming off of like the heavy emotional punch of that whole first issue from his father's perspective. Right. And it's exciting to see that like, oh, we're getting Lois Lane now. Like, I bet it makes you realize this is going to be an important character. Obviously, everybody knows that already, but it's just cool to get her perspective and to see him just kind of zipping around the city in these first few pages. And we'll get to it in a minute on the next page, I think. Mm-hmm. But what he's doing here is just a really cool glimpse into his new job, I guess.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I totally agree. And I also like how, we're seeing him at work while the narration's going on, so you're kind of getting 2 stories going on at once. I like when that's done well. I love this page here too, this artwork that we had. I saw Naman asked, is this a trade? Does it complete a series? It's a 4-issue miniseries in which Ryan has in his hand there. So you could definitely pick it up as like a kind of a trade. I'm sure they make a soft cover for it, or
they do
cover as well.
This is $30 according to the dust jacket here for the deluxe hardcover.
Okay. Yeah. Before we were live, we were just kind of discussing, is what's the larger size? Does it come as a library edition? Things like that. It would be great to eventually have one of those, but we did confirm it is bigger than a trade, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
So at least there's
slightly bigger.
Yeah.
Use that for comparison.
Yeah.
A little taller, a little wider.
Yeah.
Not it's gigantically bigger, but it is bigger.
Definitely. So we jump right into the next part here, as you're saying, like he's his attention is going up into the air to stop this massive missile.
Massive.
That's on enormous.
The way. Yeah, I don't think that's how missiles work.
No, that's like a train right there.
Yeah. That would like completely crack the planet in half, I feel like.
That is a shuttle all on its own. Now I think that some of the narration that's here is some of the most the heavier stuff that's really hit me as just really having an appreciation for the character, for Superman. And we talked a little bit about this before, but this really highlights it, where she points out that like this guy is indestructible. Essentially, he can do it all. He can stop bullets. He can stop missiles. He can, leap buildings and all the other catchy phrases that they have. And the question is like, why? She's like, he can do anything he wants to, and he decides to do what? Be a hero. And again, this is something that I think just plays such a strong part to his parents and how he was raised. And I know we mentioned before, you said there was like another like version or another story where he was raised in another country, and it was like a whole different atmosphere, a whole story. And so I think that just plays such a strong part in like, just parents to their kids and what that can stand for and what that can really do to somebody, because he truly is just someone who, as we saw in the first one, just wants to help, and he knows he can do more. It's not even a question of if, he knows he can do more. So why not step up? Why not do more? And she is, from her perspective, is like kind of baffled, like this guy's like too good to be true, which I think she even says at one point in this book, because he just wants to be a hero. He just wants to help. Which I think is great.
I think that's why I appreciate that this chapter is told from her point of view, and you see from her narration that she grew up in the city. She knows people never look out for anybody else, that everyone's selfish and in it for themselves. And the fact that on this 2-page spread here, you can see he decides to do what? Be a hero. And then all the way down in the other corner is one little bubble all by itself that just says why. And it's like the fact that one little caption is completely removed and separated, it just punches that through. And like that question of why, like this page really just kind of encapsulates and summarizes like Superman all in like one sentence, basically. And it just, it gets me, man. Like this book.
Totally. No, you're right. I'm right there with you, man. And it is powerful. And again, to just think more in detail of like what he stands for and what he represents, like the good, the good in us, and the decision to want to do good and to be better as we are, or as we live. So like, I love it. And it's well done. Like you said, like even just how she's talking this out and having that why very separate from everything else, clearly doing some hero type stuff. And then she goes on to even talk about like, how we as humanity, for the most part, like nobody wants to help anybody. No one's willing to stick out their necks for anybody. We kill each other, we brutalize each other, we lie to each other, all these other kind of darker aspects of life. And then she's like, here's this man, and she stutters even, that was in this. And, here's this man who's willing to stick his neck out all the way out, essentially. So, and I love these panels too, by the way, just some of the kind of the coloring that they have here. And then of course, I love this. I just love this panel.
Oh yeah, always beautiful.
Yeah, even the way the earth glows, and I mean even the details of the stars and stuff. Like you probably can't see it here on the screen as much for those watching, but like you open this up, or I'm looking at it digitally on my iPad. It really is. It's a beautiful scene. It's a beautiful scene. Hey, we got Johnny Boy in the house. What's going on, Johnny? Thanks for stopping in. Yeah. Oh, and I like how she compares him to Santa Claus a little bit. It's like he knows if we've been bad or good for so be good for goodness sake.
Makes sense in a weird way.
Yeah. But
so basically, he stops this nuclear bomb. And then after this, he dives down to a nuclear submarine underwater where the bomb was launched from.
Yeah.
And basically stops them, right?
Yeah.
He lifts this submarine out, and it's just a cool action sequence in a book that's very emotional, and there's not a lot of action in these four issues, but this is one of the more dramatic sequences. But it's also undercut in a way by all of the narrating from Lois Lane to kind of, even in an action-heavy sequence, you're still getting hit with emotions and feelings.
Yeah. And I know she's kind of going through her whole thing of like, never, she always pictured, what was it, like the Prince Charming, and she describes, her Prince Charming as a kid and what she had pictured, and how she's met a lot of, guys in her life, and, some of them have had certain parts to what a Prince Charming would be, but Superman certainly coming here and kind of taking the cake with that. And meanwhile, you get Luthor. He's interrupting, or he ends his meeting because he gets word of this, essentially. And then as it cuts over here, you see these guys in there down in the submarine, and I like the little silhouette there in the middle there for a second.
Oh yeah.
But so interesting. First time around, I was like, is that Lois? Like, is that supposed to be Lois? But I like the colors here. Yeah, I like the choices. Oh, go ahead.
There's that on the last page where he's diving under the water. It's a really quick panel, and I don't know how well it's going to come across on digital. But can you skip back one?
Oh yeah.
The shot of him, of the people looking out the window at Superman, and he is just giving like a little wave and a salute, like
yeah.
while he's diving down to stop this nuclear submarine. He like mid dive, he like waves at the people in the plane. Like, no need to do that whatsoever. Like, he got things to focus on. But the fact that he doesn't stop, but he just waves and smiles as he's diving. It's just like,
Yeah, great point.
That's Superman in one image.
Yeah,
it.
and they're like baffled. They're like, unbelievable. I can't believe that's him. Like, they're shocked. Yeah, I mean, he's like a celebrity too, all at the same time. But yeah, in the limelight, you always got to be smiling, right? I feel like. Johnny Boy, this is Superman for All Seasons. We're talking about issue number 2 here. So and then the other dialogue with this was just like, I know she was talking a little bit about how much money he makes. Again, just kind of giving perspective of how powerful Lex Luthor is, and saying how he makes so much money that he would actually lose money if he were to find like $100 bill on the ground and pick it up or something like that, because he makes like $150 a minute or something, like, something obnoxious like that. As she
$150 a second. So
a second.
If he found $100 bill, it would not be worth his time to stop and pick it up.
Yeah,
like,
that's wild.
Even in 1998 money, that's still
right.
Still stings.
Yeah. And then he's like Scrooge. I feel like he's like Scrooge, like his this grumpy guy, coming out. He's got his trench coat. Yeah. Let's see. Comic Book Worm says, shouldn't we always just see that blue and red streak? Yeah, I mean, that's
coming up.
That's totally coming up. Yeah. I love how they accent that. What we got next year? So, okay. Ooh. So this is great too. And I feel like this is a classic kind of scene, him one-handedly holding something and talking to the people. Maybe not necessarily this, exact scenario, but I just feel like I've seen that in every movie and show and everything. Yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah. Great splash panel.
Although now that I'm looking at it, there's that guy down in the very bottom left. He's like smiling and just pointing his gun up at Superman. Like,
yes,
doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Well, he's in awe, Ryan. He's like, exactly. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, don't point that thing at me. Yeah. Hey, we got Daryl in the house. What's going on, Daryl? Read your comics. What's going on, man? He says, what's happening, Kryptonians? Daryl's been doing some he was one of the guys I was saying that has reached out to me. He's read this before. He really enjoys this series as well, and he's going to be doing some other Superman reading here soon. And we had talked about it, Ryan, and I know you had mentioned it, so we're going to talk backstage later, but trying to coordinate something. Maybe the three of us can break down that next the next Superman book that you had pointed out from last time that I think's over your shoulder there.
I don't know if it's on camera, but it's over here.
Yeah.
All-Star Superman.
All-Star. That's it.
Good, but not as good, in my opinion. We'll get into that on the show, I guess. But
that's fair. Johnny says, the way gas prices, I wish I'd find $100 bill. Yeah, man, I hear you. Between gas and comics, it's killing me.
Get like a half tank.
Yeah. All right, and then so he pulls this whole submarine out, drops it there, saves the day essentially, and rips open the submarine, and all the army basically standing there with guns and taking everybody over. But this guy grabs Lois Lane, puts a gun to her head, basically expresses himself, feels that that Superman representing America has too much power, essentially. Or too much power to one place. Any thoughts here on this particular stuff?
It kind of makes like I don't want to say it makes sense. I don't want to identify too much with the nuclear terrorists, but especially with how suddenly Superman just pops up in the world and is so clearly like on one side, like I could see.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the concept they play with when you start reading Superman Red Sun, where he lands in Soviet Russia instead of, Kansas.
Right.
Seeing what it would be like for him to be on the other team is just like, oh, well, I could kind of get the perspective of like what this guy represents in a like a political sense, on like a global stage.
Yeah,
it's just a cool moment, and this sort of simple hostage scenario seems like it was inevitable.
Right. I love this scene coming up, and this is what I was telling you a little bit about. As far as why a reminder as to why I love reading digital so much, is these next couple panels that I'm going to kind of flash through here. So,
Okay.
As this guy has his gun, to Lois's head, and just thinks, he feels he's in control at this point, and wants to basically prove, like, Superman, hey, if you're as good and as fast as you are, like, prove it, because otherwise, like, I got a gun, to this woman's head. And even I love how Lex steps up too, and he's like, "I'll handle this.
I'll handle this. Don't worry."
Yeah. And I love how Superman's hand is even like, stopping him there, like, hold off there, buddy. And this is what we get here. So I'm just gonna kind of pan through. So we get this flash here, this first scene. Lex saying, "I'll handle this, Lois. I can negotiate with anyone, even terror." And as he's saying the word terrorist, we get even terror. Woof. And he's the gun's back in his hands, and he's crunching it.
Perfect.
And you can even see as he's flashing here, he has the roar. Roar is. I just think it's so well done, and especially, like I said, reading it digitally, like, just gives you more of that feeling of the motion or the movement.
Yeah, getting the full page is a little bit. It's not as
a little different.
Seeing it panel by panel definitely works a little better in that moment, I would say, too.
Adds a little bit of movement, a little bit of cinematic vibes, for sure. But yeah, so, and as Naman mentioned, like, do we get the blue and red? That's kind of one of the first times that we really get it here. And we see it come up a lot throughout basically the rest of the series here. But I like how it's done. It's almost like dust. It's almost like,
that's what I was thinking too. Like sand, dusty.
So yeah, love how that was done. He's like, Luthor, the situation is under control.
And just totally makes Lex Luthor look like a big loser, a big dork. Like, I can handle this. And it's already done. Like, oh, right. Anyway.
Crunches
let me drive you home, Lois.
Yeah. Crunches it with like it's a soda can type deal. Hey, we got Kenneth Bird in the house. What's going on, Kenneth? Naman says he's loving it. He said, "You sold me." Boom.
Nice.
There you go. Nice. Definitely check it out, Naman. Hey, we got Tessa in the house. What's going on, Tessa? Thanks for hanging out. She says she's fashionably late. I dig it. Let's see. And the other thing, Johnny said he's currently reading Batman Killing Time, World's Finest, Shadow War. All three are great. I am with you there, Johnny. Definitely enjoying all three of those for sure, as I've been trying to keep up with the more current DC stuff. So as you were saying, Ryan, she gets a ride from Superman after he kind of embarrasses Lex here a little bit, right? A little bit of dialogue.
Yeah, I think her and Luthor were like kind of dating, or like almost dating.
Oh yeah, that was weird. We saw a little glimpse of that in the first issue. That was a little weird.
Yeah, and Lex is definitely somebody who's used to just letting his money do his romance for him, I guess.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Come on, I'll drop you off in my limo," and she's just like, "No, thanks. I think Superman's gonna fly me back instead."
Denied.
Yeah. And I bet that's like the ultimate reason why Lex Luthor is just such a dick to Superman the whole time.
Oh, totally.
Not for any other reason, but just the fact that he like showed him up in front of everybody and stole his lady.
It's his ego. 100%.
Like, quite literally stole his lady and flew off.
Yeah. Yeah. From my understanding of Lex Luthor, he has such a massive ego that, I mean, that's definitely the spark, I think, essentially, right? That has really driven him to madness on how he's felt over the years for Mr. Kent here. I love the close-up of Lois's face there on the side. I think I have these panels switched technically, or maybe not. I think they're actually supposed to be switched. Yeah. All right, guys, forget what you're seeing here right now.
just hold it up into the mirror and look at it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hold this upside down or something. But yeah, so I like this. She's like, her shoes are like falling off. And she's just shocked that someone talked to him like that. And he's like, it's about time somebody did. So again,
she definitely calls it. She's like, you should be careful. You can't just talk to him like that. Like he'll he'll come back at you, and he's just like, whatever. Yeah, he's just a dude.
Right.
But we'll get into it. I think in the next couple of issues of this book, she's not wrong.
Right.
Lex
Right.
Luthor's always scheming and has a plan for stuff.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll jump into this, and this is one of the parts you were talking about here earlier, right, Ryan, about his Clark Kent look and his kind of disguise and everything. This was great scene.
It's it just goes to show, I guess, how art works. How Tim Sale draws him, as Superman, chest puffed out, all confident and strong and big, and then like he's poking his head out of the closet, like straightening his tie, like looking all nervous, kind of, and like not really.
Yeah.
He seems smaller somehow, but he's not. He's just, his clothes are loose and baggy, and like
that's what it is. I think like the jacket's a little, longer than him, and I think all that just kind of covers it up a bit. Yeah, the chest is like not there, which is what it. Yeah, that's like what he's going for, right? So, I love her line too, because so basically he drops her off at the Daily Planet. He flies away, and she's just like, it's got to be the cape. I love.
Yeah, she's kind of like not okay with the fact that she's like falling for this guy.
Yeah.
In spite of herself, she's like, this is stupid.
Yeah, but
it's the cape.
She even says, damn you, because he's so nice. He's like, good luck with your story, and he like flies off. He's just such a nice guy. She's like, damn you.
Yep.
And then he's popping out of the supply room, fixing his tie. He's got a stack of papers in his hands, fresh paper, and he's just like, oh, hey, Lois, anything going on I should know about? She's like, only the whole wide world, Smallville. I love that she calls him Smallville. It's great.
It's cute.
Yeah. I assume that's part of like what the comics have always had, or at least back in the day, although I don't know that for sure.
I would imagine. It feels very Lois.
Yeah. Good nickname. And yeah, so this whole scene, like nice little, flirtation even here, where he's just like, by the way, like, how'd you get aboard that submarine? And she's like, what? She's like, we all have our secrets, Clark. I'm sure even you do. And I'm like, oh.
Maybe he does.
Maybe. His secret is he likes to set his room up the way he did back at home. That's his secret.
I love that callback. Yeah, I'm flipping back to it right now, actually. Yeah, right here. In issue 1, where he's laying on his bed at home,
yeah.
And it's like the exact same shot.
Way messier there.
He's a little cleaner now.
A little bit, yeah. That's great.
But it's kind of sad. I mean, the sense that it's definitely like a bachelor's apartment, right? It's all dark, and there's not a whole lot of stuff in his room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to me, this is like him just trying to recreate home in a way, right? Like he really has the bed lined up very similar. And but as we get into this, issue deeper, we realize like, yeah, he's missing home. He's feeling alone and
normal feelings.
Yeah, totally. And a lot of this does come back to even like thinking back to like my college days and stuff. And I know you had talked a little bit about that too, especially when you first read this book, being read at college for the first time. A lot of this is totally relatable. Like, yeah, it's like you're living with other people, but you still can get that lonely feeling and not being home, or being away from home. Like it can definitely feel that way. But yeah, so I appreciated that they, or I like how they were kind of drawing this up as he lays in bed there. And then he does go back home. And this is where like Lois is kind of talking about how she says like, Clark has shared his theories about Superman, how he slips off to some kind of fortress of solitude, puts in, quotations. And she's like, this is coming from a man who starts his day with cornflakes. I love the little subtle, humor that they kind of add throughout this.
Lois is sharp. Like she's very kind of like insulting, like her jokes have bite to them.
Yeah.
And I love this double page spread where she's talking about, his fortress of solitude, and like the fact that dial or that narration is over a shot of him at home.
Yeah.
Like the place where he goes to feel normal and, be himself.
Yep. Totally.
It's not the actual fortress of solitude. It's home.
Yep. As she says, I wonder if there's a drawbridge, and it's just a big field. It's great. So yeah, he goes home, sees Dad. gets to see the family. I think did I put the oh yeah. So kind of moving forward here again, we kind of get a taste of Smallville again and again. Like this is a couple months have gone by now, right? And he admits to them basically that he's been feeling a little lonely, which we kind of started to get that vibe with him being by himself in his apartment the way he had been. And of course his mom's like, yeah, you're more than welcome to stay here as long as you want. He even gets to see the pastor, right?
Some people we remember from the last issue, and it feels like it's a sign of how good the writing is, but it feels, you get the same sense that he does, that he's been gone forever and that everything has changed and like people have moved on without him. But it's only been it's the next season, it's
right.
Summer, and he left in spring. He hasn't been gone that long,
right?
But it just feels night and day difference.
Yeah,
and actually, they get into that a little bit too, and they say like maybe that's what they always say, it's like home doesn't change, but when you leave and you come back, you're the one that changed, and that's why everything feels different.
So how long has it actually been? Because when I was reading this before, and I see this now, when he's talking to Pastor Lindquist here, he does say, he asks about Lana, and he says Lana was, Lana's been gone. She left right after you. And he says, I haven't talked to Lana in years. So
yeah,
are we in fact?
We're wrong then. It's definitely not just a few months later.
Okay, yeah. So interesting.
Learning new stuff.
Yeah. That I remember reading that briefly and then thinking like, is he exaggerating but no, the way it reads I think it is or has been years, even though they're calling this summer. I guess it's more of a summer versus
just summer some other time.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. So that is for anyone wondering here, we're kind of referring to these middle and right hand panel here.
It's such a brief little quick line about haven't seen her in years, and you just skim right past it almost. And I guess it didn't really hit either one of us until right now.
Right. And I like that we're still hearing about Lana. Obviously she played a much bigger role in the first issue. And I'm just curious how much of a role she plays in the comics, because she's in the TV series right now, Superman and Lois, and I know that technically is like completely separate, but yeah, I'm just kind of curious, where her character goes from in the regular continuity of comics for Superman.
I always got the vibe that she was just a background character from his origin. And like once he grows up and becomes Superman, that she's just not part of the picture anymore. But I don't know a whole lot more either.
Yeah. And even when we move on here, he says he sees his friend Pete, who's answering Lana. Nope, she hasn't. She sends us a postcard every once in a while from someplace, always traveling. Funny how things turn out. Yeah, I do like how Pete is the only one that's still in Smallville. Remember last issue where he's just like, he has all these like big goals and dreams. He's like, man, once I graduate, I'm out of here. I'm hitting the big city and never looking back. And he's the one guy that's still back out of the three of them who's living at Smallville.
that's me. Yeah, I feel that. Like,
yeah. Sometimes it just doesn't. It works out differently,
I love this. I love this shot of Clark Kent on the other side with his glasses. He looks like Morpheus and like Daredevil all at once, like Matt Murdock, Morpheus.
Totally.
Reflective stars in his glasses is cool though.
Yeah. And I like to just seeing the card game and stuff. Like again, just like these are characters we somewhat met before, and it just shows you that there's still that small town vibe where everybody knows each other, and the older guys are still there playing cards or whatever, but it's not the same though, as he points out. And basically it's what he's saying on the right hand side to his mom, just saying, she's like, you okay? You feeling all right? He's like, yeah, today was okay. He said, just he says, it's just, even with all the good I've done, sometimes I seem out of place in the city, and I always thought Smallville would feel like home. Now it's different here too. It's all part of growing up. She says, it's all part of growing up, Clark. It isn't always easy. It isn't always fun, but you'll find a way. You'll find your own way, and you'll always have. And you always have. Sorry. So yeah, nice little moment there. But yeah, he's still like, he doesn't know. It's like something's missing from his life, essentially.
And that's part of why this comic specifically is so good, because we all have that That's a completely normal human thing to feel.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for a lesser writer to get caught up in the fact that this guy can lift submarines, and throw nuclear bombs into the sun and fly around the planet at the speed of light or whatever. And like, that's exciting and cool. But it's this stuff that makes this comic hit so much harder.
Yeah.
And just drilling in and getting into like the actual human side of him is where the meat is.
Yeah.
The good stuff.
Agreed. So after this scene here, kind of realizing like, okay, like he ends up returning back to his life in the big city, and we get right into some action here. This what is it? Chemco Labs on fire.
It's such like a 1950s idea for like a laboratory. I don't even know what do they do there. What happens
over at Chemco?
Yeah, we make chemicals, young lad. Yeah. Okay.
Today I start my new job at Chemco.
At Chemco Labs. White lab coat, we do something in there. I don't know what it is, but it can catch fire apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like that. So we get to see some of these green, as I would refer to them as an X-Men fan, like Sentinels almost. These robots that are, flying in here. They got some purple in them, on the gloves and the boots. But yeah, essentially this is what they're calling the Guardians of the City. Is LexCorp's attempt to move the spotlight off of Superman. And this is where we're really starting to see glimpses of where Lex is trying to do some things. He's trying to be sneaky and try to solve things his way and win the people over and, say, hey, no need for Superman. Lex is your back, And so, yeah, what are your thoughts here? Seeing these robots come into play, basically trying to dismiss Superman to do this work and put this fire out.
Well, Lois seems to think that Lex Luthor is behind this fire in the first place, as he's trying to like buy Chemco Labs. Who wouldn't want to buy that, So he starts the fire and then sends in his own like superhero robots to save the day. So like, I guess it's a 1-2 punch. Like he'll get this company on the cheap, and he'll also get some good press for his own crime fighting robots.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really work out. These robots aren't. They have no heart. They're not really.
No, they do not.
They're not doing it the right way, and Superman just kind of gets frustrated and shoves them out of the way and fixes everything.
Yeah, here you go. Here's the shove. I love how he just throws one and says, "Tell your boss I don't have time for this." And you can see that bottom left-hand corner, his hand just like behind him as he's chucking one of them. I love these scenes, by the way. Like I love the artwork, the coloring, the way the fire like really pops, and then him obviously, flying in the background. And then, yeah, like you said, like the robots are really like, sure, they're like, spraying water everywhere, but they're not getting all the details of making sure everyone's safe. And this is where Superman's like, wait a second. And he looks through the walls. He notices this girl who was passed out and right in the middle of a burning room, essentially. And luckily he goes in, he saves her. I like that panel on the far left there, where it's like his upper body, but his legs are just the stream of blue and yellow and red.
As he's flying out with her.
Yeah, I thought that looked cool. Did we get her name? I thought maybe we got her name.
I think it comes later.
Okay. So yeah, basically he saves her, puts her, with the paramedics, and then flies back to handle the fire. Hey, we got my man Barbarian Kung Fu in the house. He says, "Look at these two sexy hunks of man meat." Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for stopping by, man.
I can personally vouch for a Barbarian Kung Fu's sales page. Also, I bought a whole short box of Green Lantern stuff from him a while ago, and it was perfect. So
he just posted. He just put some stuff up today, actually.
Go check him out. He's a very good sales shipper person. I had zero complaints.
Oh yeah. He I learned how to ship my books because of that guy, and I know he can fit like I like 15 books in like one of those small mail. I don't know how he does it. And
that short box was
he's a pro.
Like, there was no wiggle room. Like everything was safe. It was perfect.
Love it. Love it.
I need more. We'll have to figure that out.
He says, let's just call her Tammy for now. Okay, we'll call her
That
Tammy.
works.
So he saves Tammy.
Saves Tammy.
And she plays a little bit more of a hint of a role here as we get towards the end. You know?
I love that. I
Yeah.
love this. This seems just like you see Superman every time. He always rescues somebody in danger somewhere. And normally, yeah, he drops her off in the ambulance and flies away. And you think that's it. That's the end of the whole story. But later on in this, in the upcoming issues, she actually comes back around in a different capacity. I'll say that.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. So here, Superman flies back up in the air, basically tells off the robots, Lex's robots, and says, "I'm going to put out put this fire out." I love these upcoming panels here. I'll flip over to it now. I blew this one up because I need a poster of this. The one on the right, like, my goodness, both of them. I mean, both pages are like.
I'm not even sure what he's doing.
So he's making a tornado essentially and pulling the flames up out. So he's like spinning essentially in this one that's like right next to us. And then the far ones where he basically like kind of like, I guess, grabs it. Cause then when we go to this next one, you see the flames follow him in like kind of a tornado-y type of vibe. At least that was kind of what I was gathering from that. But yeah, really wicked. I wanted to just kind of blow that one up there as he's kicking that off. So really, really well done. And again, I mean, we've been talking about the artwork throughout this whole thing, but it really is a treat to just have in addition to the great story that we're reading right now. So
I want to take back everything nice I said about Barbarian Kung Fu. Knocking DC Comics down there.
Oh,
DC,
no.
So it would be Tammy Thompson. Is that what he says? Tammy Thompson.
Tammy Thompson.
You got Peter Parker. You got Bruce Banner. You know, that's not a Reed Richards. That's definitely not a Marvel or DC thing. I think it's a Silver Age silly comics thing. Mister.
Come on, Barb.
Yeah. Disgraceful.
So we get into, so I showed this whole page. I put the page here again, just as like if anybody wanted to see the full image there. But yeah, I would love to have this as like a poster or something. That would be great. And then he basically tells off those, what's that?
The colors in here.
Yeah. So nice. And then, he basically tells off the robots. He goes, "Go home." He says, "Go home with your tails between your legs. A woman almost died from your carelessness. If it happens again, I'll hold Luthor personally responsible." Her name's Miss Vaughn. There you go. Miss Vaughn, as Lois is interviewing her now after the scene.
Tammy Vaughn.
There you go.
Her full name. There you go.
Tammy Vaughn. Then we get this final page here. And in that interview, by the way, so she's like interviewing her, she says, "Is there anything you could say if there was anything you could say to Superman, what would it be?" And then in her own quotes or her own narration, she says, "And now I have my headline." And then we see the headline, "He is my angel." And that's kind of this theme now that she's kind of deemed Superman, this Miss Vaughn. And Lex trying to win her over here, going to her apartment. That's big.
She kind of becomes like almost a little crazy Superman obsessive, right? Like I don't blame her. Like
that's not normal, Ryan. That's not normal.
Yeah, exactly. She's got a Superman shrine, and I imagine a lot of people have something similar because he saved so many lives. But Luthor creeps on her. He finds out where she lives and goes up to her front door and says, "Hey, I'm Lex Luthor." And she's like, "I know who you are." And he goes, "Well, I've read about your fascination with Superman and how you are a gifted chemist," which is kind of the first hint you get that this is going to be a relationship that is just getting started, I guess, and something's going to happen, because this is this page of her like Superman shrine is the last page of this issue.
Yeah.
It's a kind of ominous note to leave it on.
Right. And that just goes to show more of, who Lex is and how he operates. He's very like behind the scenes and private and always planning. He's like Scrooge meets Dr. Evil. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of like I don't know who I'm thinking of, like some kind of real world um like billionaire type guy
Yeah.
who just uses their, like, who has
Money
nothing.
and yeah.
He's clearly not Superman. He wants to be like, because he's making robots, right? He's spending all
Right.
however much money that must cost to create
Right.
crime fighting robots. He's using his money to make up for the fact that he
Mhm.
can't fly, or he's not like completely, he's not physically fit, he's not even
Right.
like good looking. He's just rich, which is kind
Yeah.
of his superpower. It's
Yeah.
like Batman.
Yeah. And Lois does kind of call that out, right? Like, or I think she says at one point, like, just saying how, yeah, this was his attempt to like just throw money at something and, you know, resolve it in Lex fashion where he doesn't even show up. You know, it's not him actually putting the fire out. It's not him risking his life, nothing like that. He would never, you know, do something like that. So again, just kind of painting more of a picture for the reader here, just who Lex is exactly. But yeah, Barb says Veronica Vaughn from Billy Madison. There you go.
If you say so.
So yeah, like you said, it kind of leaves off with this shrine, which again, very normal. But she's obsessed with her angel. So, and that's the end of the issue.
It's hard to not immediately continue. Like having the whole story here, it's like, where is this going? Like, what is he scheming? You know, what are they gonna do? Like, what's he gonna do with her? I'm kind of worried for this person's safety.
Yeah,
right. Like we know Lex is a dangerous dude, and she's clearly kind of off in her own world right now. She's got her back turned to him.
Yeah,
she looks like she's in her like nightgown, and there's candles everywhere. Like I just get a bad vibe from this whole room.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It definitely leaves you wanting to just jump right into the next one. And this is a series that you technically, you could. I mean, I think I read this all in one sitting the first time that I kind of went through it, and you know, it reads pretty quickly, which is nice. And then, you know, I kind of went back through and took time to appreciate all the artwork and things like that. And but yeah, so it definitely leaves you wanting to kind of read more on there. Hey, we got a few other people in the chat here. We got my man Street Side Anthony. What's up, Anthony? Good to see you, brother. Just saw him not too long ago. The guys everywhere over here on the East Coast at all the different cons. So good to see you, Anthony. I'll probably see you soon. I know there's another one local coming up here in a week or two. And we got Michelle, Moonlit Comics in the house. What is up, Michelle? Thanks for stopping by.
I got to get out to an East Coast con.
You should.
Or you guys got to come over here to the West Coast. It's way cooler.
No. Well, I do want to come out to the West Coast. I would like to come to the Anaheim one. Did we talk about this? I think I might have mentioned this, but I want to get out to your side of things. Probably 2023. That's my goal. Next year.
Is that near John? I think that's near where John lives.
Mm-hmm.
California is just one thing in my head, but it's like huge. There's so many different cities there, so it's just
California. That's right. You're way up north.
Seattle, maybe.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the only thing you need to know about Washington.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd come out. I don't know if I'd make it out that way. I don't know. I mean, you guys do. Is Emerald City Comic Con near that, or where's that?
Oh yeah, that's my local con. That'll be in August. I should be there.
Oh,
I gotta talk to Tom and figure out what our plan is, but I'm pretty sure I'll be there.
That's a nice local, quote unquote, local con to be able to go to something like that. Because I've seen the lineups. They usually get some really good lineups of
it's like 20 minutes away from me.
Nice. I'm jelly. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. I have a lot of great ones around me too. But yeah, I would like to get to the West Coast more to just see everybody, meet people.
Exactly.
And that's why you should come to the East Coast, my friend, because there's a lot of great ones over here as well.
It'll happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Eventually.
Any other thoughts here with this before we kind of wrap up? We nailed this, man. It's always like right under an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. When John and I do our Omni X-Men, it takes like an hour and a half. I blame John, but
you get John and X-Men in the same room, and you just gotta, you can't win. Like you're there for days. He just doesn't shut up.
Love it. Yeah, man. So any final thoughts here, Ryan, before we kind of wrap up?
I love this book, and I want as many people to try it as possible.
Yes, I'm with you. We'll continue to push forward and try to
halfway done.
Yes, spread the word with this great book. But yeah, it really is great. And I was telling you backstage, like I would like to get a hardcover, the hardcover edition that you have. I would definitely like to own that at some point. So there are single issues though, right? I assume they exist, that they're out there. Okay.
I sent some out in the mystery mail call a few months ago. Actually,
Oh,
man,
did you?
if you go on my Instagram and check out, it's a relatively recent post of mine. I did like a little miniature breakdown of this comic for
Oh shoot, nice.
just saying like whoever gets this book, just know that this is one of my favorite comics of all time, and here's why. So
Nice. That's cool. That's really cool.
I always like when we're putting that thing together, and I see a comic that I love.
Yeah.
And, like, I just know I want to like write. I've written notes on them sometimes and be like, this is one of my favorites. I hope you like it,
dude. I feel like
Fine,
I feel like that's what I would do if it's a book. Yeah, like if I was giving out like this or like Nightwing 78 or something like that, I would just like fully express my feelings on the
be
book.
sure you don't just like throw this in your box and move on. Like,
right.
Open this and read it. It's really good.
You will cry.
We all love to cry.
That's right. Hey, we got Biggie Shack in the house. New World Order.
Just in time.
Let's see. He says, "Can you go for another hour and read me the new ASM one?"
No, that's really bad.
It was brutal. Yeah, it was brutal.
Did not enjoy that book.
All right, that's gonna do it for us here. Anything you have coming up before we kind of close out here, Ryan, that you want to mention?
This was it, I guess. I've been pushing like the fact that I'm going to be here in the last few things I've done, but
nice.
Other than that, we're doing Comic Talk Live again. We have like a monthly. We've gone from our weekly schedule of that show to a monthly one. I think that's going to happen on Sunday, although we don't know exactly what we're talking about or when it's going to be. So that might get pushed if we have to, but that's coming. Me and Bearded Comic Bro and Will DeBeast and Jennifer. That Comics Will Break Your Heart. She's the best. So that'll be a fun show.
Heck yeah. Very cool. Well, yeah, if you guys don't follow Ryan, I put his information in the description below. Appreciate everybody who's stopped by here today, or if you're watching the replay, appreciate that as well. If you are reading this book, or if you give it a shot and you end up reading some of it, let us know. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think.
Please.
Or reach out to us, DM us. Ryan will talk for hours with you if you want.
That's not a lie.
Behind the scenes, so. Appreciate everybody. So I'll do it. We will be back for issue 3 in a couple weeks, right? We'll figure out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, usually a Thursday, 10:30ish Eastern. We'll figure it out.
Seems to be the pattern so far, anyway.
That's right. All right, gang. Well, we appreciate y'all for hanging, and we'll be back in a couple weeks. So until next time, we'll talk.